Talking about transportation and my home. Talking about transportation. Frequently asked questions.
How often do you ride a bicycle? How popular is a bicycle in your hometown? Why? What kind of transportation do most people use? How often do you take a taxi? How do you usually get to work? How do you usually get to school? Why do you use this means of transportation instead of another? How much time does it usually take you to get to work? How far do you travel to and from work each day? What are the advantages of driving a car? What are the disadvantages of driving a car?
Dialogue study. Wang Xiao and Frank Roberts chat before a morning meeting at work.
Good morning, Frank.
Hi, Wang Xiao. How are you today?
Not bad, except that the traffic was really bad this morning. It took me over an hour to get to work.
Really? How much time does it usually take you to get to work?
It depends. If there's no traffic, I can get here in 20 minutes. But if there's an accident or a traffic jam, like this morning, it can take over an hour.
How far do you travel to and from work each day?
Approximately 8 kilometers one way.
That's not far at all. In Canada, my work is 35 kilometers away from my home. It takes me about 45 minutes to drive to work. How do you usually get to work, Wang Xiao?
Well, I usually ride my electric bike, but if the weather's bad, I take the public bus.
You have an electric bike?
Yes, I bought it last year.
What are the advantages of riding an electric bike compared to a regular bike?
The biggest advantage is that an electric bike is faster than a regular bike, and it's easier than pedaling a bicycle. Compared to a car, an electric bike is cheaper and easier to park.
What are the disadvantages of electric bikes?
For one thing, I'm always worried that someone might steal it. Also, I need to recharge the battery often.
How often do you take a taxi to work?
Rarely. A taxi is too expensive to take every day. What kind of transportation do people use in Canada, Frank?
Most people prefer to drive their own car to work. Some people save gas and carpool, and there are also some people who take public transportation every day.
It's my dream to buy a car one day, Frank.
Really? Why?
Why? Well, driving a car is much more convenient than taking the bus or subway or riding a bike.
Yes, that's true most of the time.
What do you mean?
Sometimes driving a car is more tiring than taking a bus. If you're driving during rush hour, it can be stressful. And if there's an accident, then there's usually a big traffic jam too. It's also much more expensive to have a car. You have to pay for gas, parking, regular maintenance, insurance, and repairs.
I haven't thought that much about the disadvantages of owning a car.
It's good to think about both the advantages and disadvantages.
You're right, Frank. Hey, it looks like the meeting is about to begin.
Yes. Let's find some good seats. Talking about transportation and my home. Talking about transportation. Frequently asked questions.
How often do you ride a bicycle? How popular is a bicycle in your hometown? Why? What kind of transportation do most people use? How often do you take a taxi? How do you usually get to work? How do you usually get to school? Why do you use this means of transportation instead of another?